Hello, everybody.
And or issue whatever orders.
Thank you for spelling the name, sir.
Is your name Ryan John Hart?
Could you spell the name for me, sir?
No, I can't.
Well, then I can't speak to whether Ryan John Hart is here or not.
Calling matter of People versus Ryan John Hart. This is file 24-4935 FH.
Your Honor, Ryan Ziegler on behalf of the people.
Thomas Seeger, apparently on behalf of Mr. Hart.
So this case was called because I have it set for a hearing. I'm going to ask one more time whether or not there's a Ryan John Hart present. And if there is, I'll proceed in one fashion. If there's not, I'll proceed in another. Is there a Ryan John Hart present?
Your Honor, this is Ryan John of Family Hart, not Ryan John Hart constituency spelled all capitalized letters. I believe that's who you want.
I'm not intending to nor willing to engage in gamesmanship. I'm not going to have conversations with individuals who tell me how they identify, unless they identify by the name that they're called in the case that they were brought before me on. Mr. Hart has seemed to have no issue understanding what his name was or responding to it in the very many hearings we've had, including one that I had, as I recall, last Thursday or Friday on a competency report. But now he's seeming to have difficulty identifying himself, and the court doesn't deal with difficult individuals. Instead, the court calls a case. If the individual is present, I have a hearing. If the individual is not present, I don't have a hearing. This, of course, relates fundamentally to an issue which you brought up last week, and I told you to file a written motion, Mr. Seeger, and you did. You have it set apparently for the beginning of March, and that is on a request to have self-representation. That request for self-representation, of course, is subject to various rules, requirements, and constitutional principles. One of which, as you cite in your motion, that I'll determine on its merits in March, is that I must make a determination that a defendant who represents himself must not unduly inconvenience the court or the ability of the court to conduct its business. Clearly, Mr. Hart is not even willing to acknowledge his name, which makes it impossible for me to conduct business if he doesn't have somebody with whom or through whom I can speak. So I'm not making a determination on merits yet. I'm not hearing anything further on this case other than a statement from the attorneys if they would wish to offer one. Otherwise, I'm just going to determine the issue in the motion that's set for March when it's properly noticed, outside of if the attorneys have comment right now. Mr. Ziegler, did you wish to be heard on anything the court said so far?
No, Your Honor.
Did you, Mr. Seeger?
No, sir.
The court will call the next matter then.
All right. We are here on this case file 2500009SC, Altman versus Sweeney. You are both here to engage in a small claims case. What that means is we're trying to do this without attorneys. There are no lawyers involved at this point. You're also asking that this not be in front of a jury or anything like that, but be decided right here in front of me. So first things first, if you're both ready, willing, and able to proceed in front of me, the first thing I'm going to do is swear you both in. So if you can go ahead and raise your right hands. Swear or affirm anything you testify to here would be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So I don't get too much information ahead of time on these cases, but it seems to me first of all, the relationship between the two of you, you were friends at some point, is that correct?
Yes.
And since then, you've had sort of a falling out or distance, you don't really consider yourself friendly anymore?
No. No.
Okay.
No.
So this lawsuit is because Ms. Altman is saying that there was numerous times where she lent money to Ms. Sweeney and is looking to get that money paid back. I have a dollar amount here, $985. And so I'll start with you, Ms. Altman, where that $985 comes from. I did see your exhibits here that there was cash payments. I have the cash payments somewhere around $550. Does that feel right to you?
Yes.
All right. And then I have another $145.98. That seems to be a receipt for a hotel room paid for.
Yes.
All right, but that is, let's see here.
There's 2 hotel rooms.
Maybe that was what it was. I only saw, I was just wondering how we got to 985 because I didn't quite see all that, but let me look again here.
I think the hotel rooms are 335 total, both of them. The receipt should all be there.
Yep, I may have just seen. Let's see here. 2 nights.
2 nights on one and 2 nights on the other.
Yeah, I do think I only do see it as that there's one at the Baymont here. One receipt for essentially, so what was the other, 145.98, and then what was the other hotel receipt?
In total, there was about $335.
All right, so the other one is also about the same amount,
Yes.
right around like 155 or something like that. All right. Well, I'm sorry, what'd you say? 3, how much in hotels? 3? What?
It was about 335.
All right, and that's how we get to 885. All right, and it's, well, I still have that as 885.
And then another 75 for, I'm not sure what, back about 8 months ago, 9 months ago. And the receipt for that is in there as well.
All right, let's see here.
I think it's
And then
April 1st.
essentially what you're saying is, hey, this money, when it was given with the understanding that it would be paid back, not as a gift.
Yes.
And then in your attempts to get it back, things just kind of fell apart. And Miss Sweeney's position is, I don't owe the money back because what, Miss Sweeney?
I have a
I'll
few
let you fill in the
reasons.
blank.
Okay.
She thinks she should be paid for friendship.
That's
And
not true.
that's what I saw, but I want to hear it from her.
That is 100%
I have
not true.
I have voicemails and texts showing that that's
Okay.
the case.
Ms.
That's not-
Altman, it's not
that's
your
not
turn
true.
to talk now. Ms. Sweeney, why is it that you would say,
I'm not gonna fight her on the 555. I'm not gonna fight her on that. What I will fight her on is the hotel, because she made me homeless that weekend. She called my mom, engaged with my mother, and my mom kicked me out for a few days. She offered the hotel with the kindness of her own heart. I did not want that because I knew this was going to happen. I've been told repeatedly over the 2 years that I will not make you pay for the hotel. I will not make you pay for the hotel. And now that she's mad at me, she wants me to pay for the hotel. Tiffany has
Okay.
cost me far more money.
But you're saying the actual just transfers of cash, that was to help you out with an expectation that when you were able to, you
There
would
was
pay that
really
money
no
back.
expectation to get paid because she's told me multiple times I don't have to pay. I'm going to do the right thing and be a good human being and pay that back, even though I feel like I don't really need to, because Miss Altman has cost me far more money than $1,000. I'm a contract worker. I use my phone. There has been multiple times that I had to stop working because she would not stop calling me. And I mean like 40 phone calls in an hour, 40 text messages in 2 hours.
Yeah,
stuff
well,
like that.
don't get me wrong. I kind of understand.
That never happened.
Here, listen,
Yes,
listen
it
to me.
did.
Listen
Yes, it
to me,
did.
ladies. Do not talk to each other, okay? Essentially, what we don't want to do is get lost going down the rabbit hole of, all the things that were part of the sort of falling out and the not getting along. And I find it a lot easier if we just stick to the hard numbers. So I have basically receipts here of, essentially getting either PayPal or Venmo'd that, $550 worth of cash money. Generally that, I understand where you're saying that is, that's assistance. You used it for whatever purposes you used it for, but it came from her. And then these hotel rooms, who's staying in a hotel?
Me and my daughter.
Just you?
Yes,
Okay.
me and my daughter.
It was also her boyfriend.
No, it was not, Judge.
Okay, listen, if which one of you ever addresses the other one sort of directly next, I'm going to start, that's gonna start cutting into your credibility, all right? And so that was more of a, hey, I need a place to stay, will you hook me up, or no, an
No.
offer of, hey,
It was
I'm
an
gonna pay for
offer
this
of,
hotel.
I did this to you, I will help you, please. I didn't want to
And
take
then
it because I knew this was going
my-
to happen.
And then my other understanding is, as far as me asking you, okay, ladies, when we deal with proof, in other words, oh, here's the text where she said, of course I owe you back for the hotels, or of course I don't owe you back for the hotels, that you're both just gonna be telling me that was verbal and not in terms of a text, right?
No, I do have them in text. I just didn't have enough time to get them because it was on my old phone. But it's on, I have text messages, I have audio messages that states that I do, that was the agreement. Also with the $75 that was given in March, I was also told I didn't have to pay that back. Multiple
was that
times.
for?
None of that is true.
And how is the 75 different than all the other times that it was kept? What was that for?
It was because she also put me in a position that I didn't need to be in, and she felt guilty, so she gave me the money. And it was my fault that I took it, because everything that Tiffany does for me, I'm just frustrated because I knew she was
Nicole,
gonna come
let
on.
me just ask you a direct question. So the 550 is, okay, the hotels and the 75. I've heard you say it twice. I'm gonna let you say that. We don't really need to go down the rabbit hole. But you're essentially saying that money may have come from Tiffany, but it was basically because of something that happened that,
Yes.
you know, that Tiffany was saying, okay, here, let me take care of this. But the
Yes.
550 is different. The 550 is more like, hey, I need money. Okay, here, I'll give you money.
I asked her, yes. And at the time,
Okay.
I mean, since then, she's told me I don't owe it. I will pay it. I gladly will pay it. I just don't feel like I need
Ladies,
to pay for it.
essentially what's happening here is you guys just got to the point where, you know, you really aren't able to effectively communicate with each other, and you need a third person to step in and just go bam, all right?
Yeah,
Now, the way this really works is if you really are gifting money and you expect it to be paid back, then by the time we get to court, I expect that the way that you would have handled that, Ms. Altman, is literally to say, here, Nicole, I'm gonna give you this money, but I want you to sign this piece of paper that I gave you this money and that you're gonna pay me back, all right? That is your lesson for the future, Ms. Altman. Without something like that, then essentially this gets very gray of whether or not you're mad at someone and so you want all the money back that you ever spent on them, or things were set up truly like a gift to be repaid. Because we don't have anything like that, what essentially I'm gonna do.
I provided supporting texts.
Yes, ma'am, and essentially what it was saying is, go ahead and take me to court because you guys had just broken down so far. That's not a contract, ma'am, that's two people mad at each other on text. So my decision, and at this point in time, this is just sort of, listen to me now because we're wrapping up. My decision is gonna be that I am gonna award $550 in damages from defendant to plaintiff. Now, here's what I mean by that is that after today, there'll be a judgment that goes to both parties that says, hey, you owe this money to plaintiff. The court doesn't do collections. We are expecting you guys to handle that satisfaction of judgment from one party to another. Those judgments will get sent out in the mail. Now, here's the important part, the right of appeal. Neither one of you has to agree with what I just decided. Ms. Altman, because she believes more money should be owed, or Ms. Sweeney, because she believes less money should be owed. Either one of you has the right to appeal this decision and say, I don't agree with that. If you wish to appeal, though, you must do two things. One is you must ask for that appeal within 7 days of today's date. Your ability to appeal my judgment after that 7 days closes and is over. And two, you must actually come in and do that in writing. You can't just call the clerk's office and say, I wish to appeal. So there's a 7-day window here for someone to appeal this, where it would then go to general civil in front of the district court judges. Do you understand your rights on appeal, Ms. Altman?
Yes.
And Ms. Sweeney?
Yes.
All right, then we are essentially done with what we need to do here today. I don't see that there's any cost involved here because there was a fee waiver to file, and I have this as no service. So I don't know if there was any process server paid, but I don't have anything to show that. So it would just be one-time damages, money judgment in the amount of $550. But with that, ladies, I'm going to go ahead and release you from court. We're all set for what we need to do here today. Like I said, those orders will come out in the mail, but we do expect the parties to be able to handle that amongst themselves. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I couldn't imagine any other life. Spending it with you guys is the best. Be safe, be well, sleep sweet, and much love.